family is certainly not a good way to run a democracy, is it?
Absolutely, and it's regrettable that Uganda is basically sliding back into a one-man show, one family show, because if you look at the setup of that government, it is the father, the son, and the mother. Yeah.
Prof, your assessment of what's happening in Uganda?
Well, you know what they say, that from a psychological perspective, once a tyranny, always a tyranny. Because what you see in Muhonzi is basically a replica of Idi Amin dad.
You said it. Thank you so much. Hey, I didn't say it because Muhonzi has got stooges and acolytes on social media who are usually dispatched to attack us when we compare him to Idi Amin Dada. But hey, go attack that Kenyan. Muhonzi is Idi Amin Dada, and even worse.
Maybe I'd like to invite my colleagues to look at the political economy of Uganda from the point of view of violence. Before Mr. Museveni became the Omugabe of the Banyankole, essentially, that is what he is.
Oh my God. Let's go back here. Let's go back here to what this gentleman just said. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it. He understands it. Museveni is the Omugabe of Ankole. Don't take his word for it. Again, I tell you, I usually bring my receipts. This is Museveni referring to himself as a modern-day king.
You're watching Mordecai Marissa Live Political Commentary. Please consider subscribing to help grow Uganda's Voices of Struggle ecosystem. Thank you.
I cannot appreciate you enough for using your valuable time to always go on social media, break down things for people.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, a month ago or so, I watched a group of Kenyan commentators, political analysts, and a journalist wrestle with a question that should haunt every Ugandan. What was the question? They were asking, how did Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the man who once took up arms against the regime of Idi Amin Dada, Apollo Milton Obote, Tito, Okello, Lutwa, respectively, claiming to be fighting dictatorship, lawlessness, and impunity, end up presiding over a system that is reproducing the very things he once condemned? That was the center of the question when I watched this conversation. It was a month or so ago. And this video is trending again on social media, especially on Twitter. Dear Kenyans, I have the answer. Not all the answers, but the answer. And what is this? I hate to be the bearer of the bad news. Museveni never truly cared about democracy. Zero. All he cared about was power. Yep. And the moment you understand that, the entire Museveni story begins to make sense. As I'm going to show you here, the promises that liberation rhetoric, the constitutional changes, these endless election violence. He said, oh, we are bringing an end to this, defeating sectarianism. You can go on and read what he named the 1984 10-point program. These are things we're going to do when we get to power. All that was facade, phony. It was a mirage. He never cared. No. This was never about building a democracy. It was about building a system that could keep one man in power. And he's achieved it. And not just for 2 years or 5 years, no. For 41 years now. Give me a minute, because I want to show you how Uganda's self-proclaimed liberator, hey, I'm a liberator of Uganda, became the very thing he once claimed to have liberated Ugandans from. What were some of these things? Abduction, torture, corruption, sectarians, name it. I'm going to show you, and I'm going to show you that it's never been about changing the lives of the Ugandan people. But before we do that, let's go on and listen to these Kenyans grappling with this question.
Good morning, this is Daybreak, and many thanks for finding time for the broadcast. The hashtag on X is Citizen Daybreak. The SMS code is 22422. at Citizen TV Kenya and at Ayub Abdikadir. My panel this morning is made up by David Makali, who is veteran and seasoned journalist. Good morning, David.
Karibu, man.
Such a long time.
Man, I've missed being here in this slaughterhouse.
Asante sana. Thanks for making time.
Asante.
Professor Peter Kagwanja is the Chief Executive Officer of the Africa Policy Institute. Prof, good morning. Associates at Glossip's Policy and Diplomacy Commentator. Good morning, Hannah.
Good. I got stuck somewhere.
We have plenty to on the events in Uganda following the directive by the Chief of the Defense Forces, Muhoozi Kainerugaba, gentlemen, and which has largely caused a lot of concerns regarding press freedom, which also dovetails into the question of governance. First, David, coming to you. Family is certainly not a good way to run a democracy, is it?
Absolutely, and it's regrettable that Uganda is basically sliding back into a one-man show, one family show, because if you look at the setup of that government, it is the father, the son, and the mother. Almost, I don't want to say the trio setting up.
I'll say it. I mean, former Speaker of the Uganda's Parliament, Anita Among, referred to Museveni, Muhoozi, and Janet Kataha as the Holy Trinity of the NRM, the Son, the Father, and the Holy Spirit. Museveni being the Father, then Muhoozi the Son, and Janet being the Holy Spirit. Yes, that sounds like a blasphemy. Yeah, but she did. Guess where she is right now? House arrest on the orders of God the Son.
Upper kingdom,
yeah.
But that's what it's almost becoming, and we can see the consequences. They don't want to be held accountable. They think that they own the state because they created it.
No, they never created the state. This is a lie. Please don't give them undeserved credit. They never created nothing. If anything, they're destroying what we had, a little we had.
But, you know, they created it from chaos to fix it. Now they want to own it for long, and I think...
Yeah, we had a state that was going into chaos. They promised that they were going to get rid of the chaos. We are worse than where we were.
It's going to be disastrous if this doesn't change.
Yeah. Prof, your assessment of what's happening in Uganda?
Well, you know what they say, that from a psychological perspective, once a tyranny, always a tyranny. Because what you see in Muhoozi is basically a replica of Idi Amin dad.
You said it. Thank you so much. Hey, I didn't say it because Muhoozi has got stooges and acolytes on social media who are usually dispatched to attack us when we compare him to Idi Amin Dada. But hey, go attack that Kenyan. Muhoozi is Idi Amin Dada, and even worse, we usually say Idi Amin Dada didn't go to school. Muhoozi is a graduate of Royal Sandhurst Military Academy. Okay? I understand he can hardly give a speech. He has the charisma of a cockroach. But regardless, he went to the best schools in the world. So we could actually argue that Muhoozi is worse than Idi Amin Dada. I mean, the comparisons are there for us to see, are visible. Amin referred to himself as what God of gods, whatever, King of kings, whatever. Muhoozi says he's a descendant of Jesus Christ. And his tribe is the one responsible for... he does a lot of stupid stuff on social media. Engages in racism of all nature. I mean, I'm sorry. Now, I'm not trying to carry water for Idi Amin Dada. He was another, you say what, fill in the blank. But there's no difference between him and Muhoozi.
You know, the strong man who is from the military side and, you know, terrorizes the whole country, terrorizes the whole neighborhood, terrorizes the whole continent. So Uganda is really at its worst, particularly because over and above what Muhoozi is doing, it's a kind of a shared tyranny between him and the father. It's a family diarchy. It's a father, the son, and the mother.
Thank you. There's no difference between Museveni and Muhoozi. Museveni was deceptive. Muhoozi doesn't have deception. He just does what his dad has been doing for the last 40 years without sugarcoating it. So this is shared tyranny, like this gentleman is saying. There's no difference between the two. The only difference is Museveni is 100% deceptive, is cunning, is a charismatic leader, not in a good way, evil way. But at least he has that charisma. He was able to convince ostensibly educated, traveled, exposed men to join him on this lie he told them.
Missing that equation is something else. But it's a very bad picture that's coming from there.
Yeah. Professor Noamidamba, certainly friction in the army and the military, friction within the political arena in Uganda. Is this a dangerous turn Uganda is taking into an authoritarian pathway?
Let me frame this in a way that really I believe we need to follow. From a global democracy, Sir Winston Churchill described democracy as the worst form of government. But there is nothing else that is better than that. So Uganda democracy challenge is not new. Africa, every single country, in Kenya, everywhere, South Africa, we have a challenge. Every young democracy wrestles with institution maturing and slower than political institution, which we expect. Democracy fails when we only measure elections and ignore institutions, civic space, and rule of law. The question isn't Uganda a democracy.
Yeah.
The question is what must Uganda do to stop doing and start doing what democracy work and for Uganda.
Good question, good question. I mean, we've not had any peaceful transition since independence. It's not what we should do, no. It is what we should stop doing. Bloodshed, violence, that's what we should stop doing.
And in the future.
Yeah. And Ahmed, the question of democracy itself is questionable, is it, in Uganda, when there is a strong arm on institutions by the NRM party and President Yoweri Museveni's omnipresence in Uganda's political sphere, plus now what's happening to the media institutions?
Maybe I'd like to invite my colleagues to look at the political economy of Uganda from the point of view of violence. Before Mr. Museveni became the Omugabe of the Banyankole, because essentially that is what he is.
Oh my God. Let's go back here. Let's go back here to what this gentleman just said. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it. He understands it. Museveni is the Omugabe of Ankole. Don't take his word for it. Again, I tell you, I usually bring my receipts. This is Museveni referring to himself as a modern day king. I am a modern day king, Museveni. This is Museveni. Watch. This is last year. Museveni referred to himself as a modern day king. I mean, tell me how this man who claims to be a Pan-Africanist, he's so proud of the Pan-Africanism traditions and stuff like that. He's been able to revive all kingdoms and chiefdoms of Uganda except his. All. I belong to his tribe. We are same tribe mates. But we've not seen our Omugabe. Because in the mind of Museveni, he looks at himself as the leader of the Banyankole people. Sad. But I like it because it is being said by a Kenyan. If you said this in Uganda, it'd be like, okay, sectarianism. You need to arrest that man. Why is he saying that? Let's go back to this gentleman. Brilliant.
But he is dotted with the instruments of the state. Mr. Museveni fought. We use him as an example of what the state means in Uganda. Mr. Museveni fought in Mozambique during the time of Frelimo while he was in university. He did his thesis on the great Frantz Fanon.
Yeah, but he didn't care about it. If he really cared, he just trashed everything he learned from all those great men.
He was also a member of a group of armed forces that, when Idi Amin was being thrown away, participated in the overthrow of the regime of Idi Amin. And I think that Mr. Museveni was new into politics. He is not a politician. He was a soldier and had a consciousness of African liberation. So the question we have to ask ourselves is, why is it that Mr. Museveni, who came in from the bush to bring about fundamental change in Uganda, turned into the vicious dictator that he is today?
Okay, that's where I have the answer. He never cared about a thing called democracy. Let's go back to who Museveni was when he was 15 years old. This is not me. This is a man who took care of Museveni when he was around 15 years. At that time, I think was going to Mbarara High School. Listen to Boniface Byanyima.
Boniface Byanyima lives in the suburb of Mbarara town in a village called Ruti. The home is located a few kilometers from Mbarara High School, where President Yoweri Museveni went for early secondary education before joining in Tari School.
I took my family to Kasese.
I'll put here subtitles for you to read.
He was always with us.
Mm-hmm.
And even when he went to Tontari and to Dar es Salaam, he would always regard this home as his home.
It's at this home that the young Museveni spent most of his holidays while still a student at Mbarara High. One of Mzee Byanyima's daughters, Winnie Byanyima, was a close Museveni confidant in the 5-year Bush War he led from 1981 to 1986. Even after he took over power, Museveni appointed Winnie Uganda's representative to UNESCO in Paris, France. Winnie is now married to Museveni's bitter political rival, FDC party president Dr. Kizza Besigye.
Who is dying in prison right now at the orders of Museveni.
Mzee Byanyima offered material support to the young Museveni in the form of pocket money after he learned that his parents had separated. This support did not only stop at Museveni, he also took care of his mother when she needed care.
His mother was attacked by thieves. She sent a message to me to bring her here. I sent my son Bernard, who corrected her. We stayed with her.
Mzee Byanyima, who served for many years as the national chairman of the opposition Democratic Party, describes a youthful Museveni as a person who would not mingle freely with fellow children at home.
He called himself a name which can suggest his character. He was always calling himself Dumbfounded.
He always called himself a man who doesn't take advice. This is when he was 15.
Is he calling himself Dumbfounded now? Or he has dropped it?
Yeah, officially now.
As a youth, he was a loner.
He was a loner.
He was Dumbfounded.
Takes no advice.
He's still a loner and Dumbfounded.
Up to now.
When you hear him talk, he's a leader of government now. When he's talking about what the government has done, he doesn't say, we have done that. He says, I have done that.
The old man,
a self-serving, narcissistic sociopath. That's Museveni. Yep, that's what he's been. And he's become extremely lonely in his late years. Now, you can't say that man was lying. I mean, how old was he then? 80 or 90? But still identifies as DP. He never bought into the lie because he knew Museveni when he was 15, so he knew this was a liar from the word go. He never bothered to join him. Museveni being cunning, being a liar, being deceptive as he is, he was able to convince Winnie Byanyima. And many of them are actually still believe that, oh, maybe he's a good man. Please, Museveni, forgive. What? Irredeemable soul. That's me. But God can do miracles. I pray he does the miracles to that man. But But I don't know what happened to him when he was, before 15, he must be disturbed by trauma of levels we've never seen, childhood trauma. There's no man treats people like that. Having a country, having sacrificed 500,000 people in a war you launched and promised that you were going to get rid of all these atrocities, only to do the same. Who does that? What type of betrayal is that? There's no description. What type of betrayal is that? But regardless of these atrocities and the corruption and you know, he doesn't really care. Remember when his son attacked Kenya and, you know, threatened to evade Kenya? He came and gave a phony apology and appointed him commander of Uganda's defense forces a few days after. He doesn't care. All things he writes in this book about how the army treats people, I think I read you lines, I'll read you here. He said, this is Museveni writing. He says, what is Africa's problems? Okay, let's read a few lines he writes. The citizens of our country were terrorized for a long time by the very soldiers who were supposed to protect them. People used to have to run away from their own protectors, but this has now changed. As we speak right now, you have people running away from their country. Mordecai Murisa, Bobby Wine, Semujunganda, and a myriad of others. Why? Because they know they cannot criticize Museveni while in Uganda. He was talking about himself. He never cared about a thing. If he really cared, Muhoozi should be fired from that position of the command of Uganda's defense forces. But he doesn't care. Muhoozi has exposed him. This is what he's been from way back. I don't buy into the narrative that, oh, Museveni changed. No, this is what he was. He realized there was no way he was going to ascend to power single-handedly. And he knew there's no way he would be violent by himself. He had to have a company. And how do you convince people to join you? For example, if you're going to steal or to rob a bank, you have to say an idea. Hey, do you know you can change your life? Do you know what $500 million can do to you? Think about your children going to the best schools. Think about blah, blah, building a house and, you know, at any place you want, blah, 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 blah. And once you convince people, they buy into the idea of transforming their lives, then you tell them now that you're able to see the vision. Here is the puzzle we have to crack, to decode. We have to break that bank. That's what he did. And he convinced these people that, you know what we're going to do is not a bad thing. After all, you see that bank is stealing from the poor people. So don't you feel, you know, bad or sad or afraid of what you're going to do. After all, those folks who work at that bank and owners of that bank are stealing from the poor people. So we're not stealing from the poor people. Let's steal that money, give it back to the poor people, and transform our lives. They bought it to the lie, only for them to break into this bank, steal, and Museveni takes over everything, starts killing every one of them. Sounds like a stupid analogy, but hey, I'm not good at using analogies. All right, let me know what you think, ladies and gentlemen. If you're watching from Kenya, please write in the comment section. Be like, hey, Mordecai, this is your Kenyan follower. And I would truly, truly appreciate it. Now, do 3 magic things to make this video go far and wide. Like, comment, and subscribe. And you can as well hit that notification bell to be alerted when new conversations drop. If you want to go an extra mile in as far as showing support, you can become channel member, and by hitting that join button, and you know what happens? You're able to give me a tip at the end of the month. That's if you can. You don't have to worry about it if you can't. But subscription is free. Just subscribe. All right, that's the show. I wish you a wonderful time. Bye-bye for now.
Did you enjoy what you just watched?
I'm sure they did.
I'm going to guess that you did. How about you consider subscribing to Mordecai Marissa Live YouTube channel? Thank you.